Alright, so to preface this, I had originally done this recording before. This is my second time doing this recording because my After Effects decided to delete my project file for what I was working for this video. So this is coming out a lot later in the month because yeah, I have to redo the whole thing. So that's my preface. Let's get into this. How's it going, guys? Welcome to my monthly love list for April. This video is obviously coming late, but since it's my first time doing this, let me introduce you to how we do things around here. So basically every month at the first week of the month, which this is not, I'll be doing a whole roundup of everything that I loved this month, from TV to film, gaming, all that type of stuff. Not everything will be things that came out in that month. It'll just be things that I checked out and I loved that month. So it'll be a combination of a lot of things. We'll also be getting into spoiler talk here and there. If I do end up getting into spoiler talk, you will get a big notification. So with that being out of the way, let's start getting into. So admittedly for film, I did not watch that much this month. I was pretty out of it for that aspect of things, but I believe I did watch the two must-watch films of April. So let's get started with...
Hey, brother. Be careful. I will.
So Sinners. I honestly never even saw a trailer for this movie prior to this. I went in completely blind. I honestly have never been the biggest Ryan Coogler fan. I never watched any of the Creed films, and while I like the Black Panther movies, I didn't think they were that perfect, especially the second one. But going into this movie, I saw a lot of high praise for it, and I wanted to be a part of the conversation. People kept telling me that if I loved film, this is what I should watch. So I went into it and I was just blown away. I could not believe what I was watching with this movie. I'm not gonna spoil anything from the premise because the premise completely changes halfway through the movie. But I will say, Michael B. Jordan, he sells both characters. You absolutely forget that he's playing two people at times. This guy does a phenomenal job on both roles and making both characters feel extremely distinct from each other. Miles Keaton as well. This being his first film, this guy's a breakout superstar from this. Amazing voice, amazing singing. The music was just absolutely fantastic. And that definitely also plays in part to the fact that Ludwig Göransson was doing the soundtrack for this movie. And at this point, I feel like Ludwig Göransson is going to be a household name for soundtracks. This guy, anytime I see him doing a soundtrack for a movie, I already know it's going to be at least S tier. That's like the minimum that it could go. It could go maybe above S tier, but minimum S tier. Besides that, some beautiful cinematography, amazing shots. Everything was so pretty to look at, and seeing this in IMAX as well, once that aspect ratio changes, oh my god, you know you're in for some crazy shit. That aspect ratio change means that you are getting something insane. And there is one scene in this movie that I genuinely think it'll be talked as one of the best scenes in film, period. So yeah, please go check this out, and if it's in IMAX near you, please watch it in IMAX.
Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ.
Next up is going to be Thunderbolts, and this one was my most anticipated movie going into this year. Once I saw that they had a good amount of people from A24 behind it, especially the people behind Beef, I knew that this movie was just gonna be so fun. Beef was one of my favorite shows that I've watched in the past year. It was so excellent, and I think they really brought it with this movie. Marvel has definitely been on the downfall lately, but this compared with, or this in combination with another Marvel project that came out recently, Marvel is back. We're so fucking back, baby. I'll also say the characters in this movie, like US Agent, Yelena, Red Guardian, I was so excited to see them again. These are some of my favorite characters that Marvel has introduced lately. Compared to all the other characters that they've introduced, these for sure have been some of the best. And seeing them finally get explored in this movie was, oh man, my heart. The comedy in this movie as well was so well done. It feels so personable. Each character has their own comedic style. It plays into their actual personality rather than being a quip fest of who could say the best one-liner. The comedy actually had a purpose in this movie, and that is something that definitely is derived from Beef. You got Red Guardian being over the top at all times, being super bombastic, just having his charisma carry him throughout the whole movie. You got Yelena with her depressing humor, basically keeping a straight face at all times. And then US Agent being a dickhead as he always is, and it's just lovable. You gotta love all of these characters. I also think that they went so deep into their personalities. Obviously, Yelena being depressed, being this unbothered character, and seeing her development. US Agent being arrogant and not really wanting to listen to others. Red Guardian wanting to do more and not being fulfilled because of the fact that he is in a place where he isn't doing enough of what he loves. I just love the exploration into these characters. I also think that the addition of Bucky was very good in this, and the fact that they didn't overdo him, like explore into his personality, but rather let him be a rock to the team for the fact that he's gone through a lot of the similar things that this team has gone through, and we've already seen Bucky's story and he could relate to them for that fact. I think that was so well done. The messages behind existential dread as well, and just being alive in general and what it is to find your purpose, was something that the movie actually explored pretty well. Yelena being so lost in life and not knowing what she wants to do and feeling so unfulfilled and wanting to find some purpose, something that actually calls out to her, and her having that relationship with Red Guardian as well and exploring it with him was beautiful. I just love seeing their dynamic together. They work so well off of each other, and it honestly elevated the movie to a different level without the two of them. Now, going into a little bit of spoilers, I wanted to talk about Sentry. Because Sentry, I think, is already a spoiler for this movie, but Sentry was so good in this. I think that Marvel did this character in the movies in such a different way from the comics that made it good. It didn't make it as if it was ripping off or something like that. It felt like it was creative enough to be a part of the Marvel universe in a way that makes sense. Bob is super self-conscious, super anxious. Like, I think he borders on bipolar, where he doesn't really know what he's feeling at times. He was an opioid addict, or a drug addict in general, that wanted help, and he turned to these people, and they basically made him into the Sentry. Now he's a superhero slash supervillain, and his development was also very good. Staying in that hole and isolating to himself and not knowing when to get close to people, and then starting to open up and branch out, and then he finds out he has superpowers and he starts getting very egotistical and goes on that mania spree where he feels as if he's better than others, and it leads up to that Watchtower fight. And oh my god, that Watchtower fight, oh my god, that was the whole time I was just thinking, damn, like, we could get a Superman movie that looks like this. It was absolutely jaw-dropping. I also thought the ending of the movie, the way that they fight Sentry at the end, in the Void Dimension, was very well thought out. That Yelena sort of dealing with her past and actually trying to accept her past and be able to move through it. That was such a unique way of actually being able to find herself and go through her memories without having like a super stupid exposition dump or anything like that. We actually got something natural from her, and same with Sentry. Sentry had to go through his dark thoughts and be able to fight himself to be able to free himself from the void. And have a path of self-discovery as well. I thought that was beautiful. But yeah, This movie took my Screen X virginity. I genuinely did not think I was gonna like Screen X, but it was actually really good for this movie. I really was immersed, and it was super cool seeing the desert biomes and all of that with like the screens on the walls. It was super cool. So I think I'm gonna start doing Screen X for superhero movies from now on. But yeah, that was it for film. So now I think we could move on to. So the time that I honestly could have dedicated to watching more film, I definitely just tracked it way more into TV this month, and I definitely have been watching a lot of TV shows lately, and I've been enjoying a lot of them as well. So I want to get started with the one that I was most anticipated going into this year as well.
I don't think you came here for my help. See, I think you want my permission.
So I think it's safe to say that I'm a Marvel fan, right? Daredevil on Netflix is one of my favorite shows, period. And although Daredevil Born Again had a very rocky production, my hope was restored when I saw that the Loki writers had hopped on and revitalized it to be closer to how the Netflix series was, and bringing in their own vision as well, and it culminated into something that I believe was worth the watch. I will say off the rip, the show is a bit messy with the fact that the whole show couldn't be reshot in the limited time they had. Honestly, that left whole episodes that were done by the previous crew, which had to be just re-edited by the new team. But I don't think they did it poorly. I think that it was actually done very well to enhance the story still. The performance from Charlie Cox as well, who is in two of my favorite things this month. We'll get into the other one later. This guy's Daredevil. You just can't convince me otherwise. I don't think that there will ever be anybody else who could be Daredevil besides him. Besides that, the style of the show was pretty different from the Netflix show. The Netflix show is definitely more dark, gritty, grounded, where I would say this one felt more artistically driven. I'm not saying that in a bad way to the Netflix show, because the Netflix show was still very artistic, but more in like a colorful, vibrant way. This show played a lot with colors and aspect ratios, different types of shots, very creative shots, which I really liked. One of my favorite things that they did was Matt, whenever he tries to hone in his hearing onto something specific, you get this creep up into him, you start zooming in into a wide lens, and you start shifting around the perimeter as he's trying to hone in onto what he's trying to listen to, and the black bars start shrinking, the aspect ratio starts shrinking until you lock in to what he wants to hear. Yo, that shot, oh my god, that I can't wait to see more of that. Also, I really loved how they used a lot of different colors to represent different things. As Matt is contemplating getting back into the mask, you see a lot of flashes of red around him. You see that he has that urge to put that mask back on, and I loved the way that they play around with the colors for him, for Fisk, obviously a lot of whites with him, to show that sort of attachment to that painting that he has. And finally, Bullseye. I still don't know why they're using blue for Bullseye. I know that his costume is supposed to be a hue of blue, but they haven't explained too much yet, and I don't know enough color theory to really go into that. Now, big spoiler warning, even if you haven't watched the first episode, this is just going straight into spoilers. I thought the decision to have Bullseye kill Foggy off rip was bold. It was bold with a capital B. I thought it was very good though. It set up the stakes for why Matt would have to have that conflict of not wanting to put the mask back on, and it gave him something to fight for later on in the series as well, when obviously you find out that Vanessa was the one that put the hit on Foggy. He has a lot of conflict with Bullseye as well. Bullseye was the one that killed Foggy. He wants to basically get revenge on all aspects, but I love the fact that it set Matt up to have this arc where he doesn't want to put the people closest to him in danger anymore. He wants to take off the mask because he feels as if the mask is the reason why people are in danger, but in reality, he's letting the safety of other citizens escape him by taking down the mask. And ever since he takes down the mask, that brings up more vigilantes like White Tiger. And I thought White Tiger's arc was great as well. But yo, Puerto Rican representation. Let's fucking go, man. But White Tiger being in this show brought a lot of heart to Matt. It brought a lot of that insight of you want to do as much good as you possibly can. Yes, you might risk the lives of those around you, but it doesn't matter when you know that what you're doing is helping a broad majority of people. And then White Tiger got domed, and that set up another reason for Matt to lose his way, or I guess go back to Daredevil. He starts having so many different things juggled at once. You get White Tiger's death, you get Muse around, start killing people, and then you start getting this parallel between Matt and Fisk descending side by side with each other. As Fisk is getting more powerful and getting more corrupt, Matt is getting closer and closer to putting the mask back on, until it all culminates to that fight where Matt is fighting Muse while Fisk is killing the shit out of Vanessa's ex, or whatever the fuck, the guy who she cheated on with. I don't even know the terminology for this. I'm not gonna get into that whole fiasco, but that whole sequence of the parallels between them two was amazing. So yeah, I'm very excited for season 2. Very good season 1, and I cannot wait to see more. Now, Severance. Oh my god. This show was hyped up beyond belief. No matter where I went, who I talked to, what podcast I listened to, everybody was talking about this show, and it was for good reason. I was listening to a Marvel Snap podcast, and they were recommending Severance. Wow. This is probably one I won't go on too long about, because I'd probably just make a whole video about it and all the theories I would have and shit like that. But wow, this is a deep rabbit hole. It goes way too deep to even talk about it like one small segment like this. Every single episode is just a mind buster that leaves you craving for more, which each episode giving you more and more questions and theories. Even if it gives you more answers, those answers just spiral into even more questions about what's going on. They've built up Lumen to be such a good villain, like this corporation being so mysterious. You don't know why they're doing these things, you don't know why they're severing these people, having them work, things like that. It's just a discovery of what they're doing down there, what could possibly be happening underground. It's so good. And then you have the characters as well. Since they're severed, you get two different aspects of who they are. Their severed self being this person that's only working, they're basically put on this earth to just work and pretend as if everything else doesn't matter, and that leaves them curious, that leaves them starting to try to figure things out. Why are they down there? Who are they on the outside? It's such a good aspect of the show, because then you also get their outer self, and their outer selves also have their own lives, their own personality, the people that they love, friends that they have. And you get this dichotomy between the two characters, because these two characters don't know who each other are. They don't know each other at all. It's such a good way to present these characters, and I think that having a small cast as well leaves it to be so tight and focused, so that you're able to get as much of these characters as possible. Yeah, I am very excited to see more. A lot of exploration into existentialism again, a lot of exploration into, you know, would you do this to yourself? Would you want to cut these memories off? A lot of these people are doing it for emotional reasons. You know, they have things going on in their life, and they would like 8 hours to just forget. 8 hours to have somebody that will never remember the things that they've gone through in their life. And it presents a lot of issues with morality and a lot of issues with self as well. Why would you do this to yourself? It's just, wow. It's so complex, so many layers to it. I cannot wait to see more of this. Season 2's ending was cinema. It was an actual movie that we got. That's another thing. The season finales for this show, each season finale has been just the biggest payoff you could imagine. Everything that's the season builds up to actually pays off in that finale. And yes, you get left wanting more, but I think that's what makes it perfect. That's what makes a good show, that you get a payoff and you still want more. It's like a drug, man. Oh man, I can't wait to watch more of this.
Hey, can see you at lunch, huh?
See you later.
The final TV show that I'm gonna put for today is this absolute masterpiece. I love Ted Lasso. This has been a show that's come into the perfect period of my life. I did not have a single complaint while watching this, and honestly, I was left tearing up several times during this show. I've always thought that uplifting shows would be a bit too corny for me. I've never really gotten around to getting into them, but this, it has like elements of being corny, but it's not like in a way that's like, oh man, like get that shit out of my face. Like it's like endearing corny. You can't help but cry. It is too good. Ted himself is such a compelling character as well. He feels like an absolute magnet that you just gravitate towards him. He's so enthusiastic, so positive, and it makes him so deep as well. He has actual layers rather than just being a happy-go-lucky guy, you know? He's dealing with a brand new sport that he's never even watched or know anything about, a brand new country that he also doesn't know anything about. He's dealing with a marriage that's sort of going sideways. He obviously is very far from his kid as well, and all of this is happening while he's basically being set up to fail by the person who brought him in. All of this is weighing on him while he's still trying to do his best for this team, for these players that he cares about, that he wants to succeed. It's not just about him, it's about trying to bring everything else around him up. He doesn't just want to be somebody who succeeds, he wants to be a beacon for the younger generation to succeed. From the first episode, it just clicked for me. Like, I was emotionally attached to this guy. I was rooting for him at every corner, and it's just so hard not to root for him. I mean, that's basically what the reporter who's out to get him says about him when he interviews him. They go on a whole trip showing him his whole personal life and showing him how he manages his team and the things around the team as well, takes care of the town. And the reporter ends up coming to the fact that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He, you know, is still very lost in this sport, but you cannot help but root for him. I love Ted, man. Also, I want to get into the other characters that I really like, so these are gonna be spoilers because I want to get into their arcs as well. Roy's story of being a superstar in his youth, who's now having his age catch up to him, and not really knowing where he wants to go because he's always known football. That's been his whole life, is being known as Roy Kent. He now has to settle with the fact that he has to be alive as a normal person, as just Roy. That was a great arc. I also thought that Rebecca's development from being very spiteful and doing things to damage this team out of the things that happened to her from her relationship, I think it was a very, very good development for her, because obviously she starts to learn that these players care about her. This team cares about her. Everybody is still trying to help her, and they are not out to get her. And they try to help her with her emotions, with things, trying to get her out of her shell and actually have fun with her and show her that the world is actually good, even if some people have treated you bad. Just beautiful, beautiful. Cried several times. Jamie Tart as well. I'm very excited to see how they develop him. I'm very excited to see how they develop him more. He is such an interesting character. He has this asshole personality around him, but it's clear that he's dealt with a lot of trauma as a kid and that he's dealt with a lot of things still now as an adult. He has a lot of self-conscious issues, and he carries himself in a way that he wants others to see him in the way that he thinks he should be viewed rather than how he wants to be. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with him in season 2. But yeah, first season already slotting into one of my comfort shows. I'm very excited to see the next season. Well, I guess that wraps it up for TV, so we can switch it up just a little bit here. So music wise, I want to keep it more brief rather than like reviews, because I'm not that great of a music reviewer. I love music, but I'm not the most well articulated person when it comes to actually talking about music. And B, you know, sometimes we could just talk about vibes, you know. I guess let you listen to a song, let you listen to a couple songs, and you could get the vibe of what I'm gonna be introducing you to, and you could see how it goes from there. So we'll do just a rapid shootout here, starting off with Paris, Texas, and I have been obsessed with this. It was my most listened to albums this month. Extremely hard hitting, had a very good comedic grunge to it. It was a whole rap grunge type of albums that just hit differently, man. Every time I'm listening to a song and I just hear a new bar that I didn't recognize before, I'm like, bro, like they were spitting, they were going crazy psycho mode on this. Yeah, I it's catchy, it's good. If you want something hard, listen to this. Now, Jane Remover's Revengeseekerz. Honestly, hyperpop has never been at such a good spot, and every time there's a new big hit album, I honestly know that it's gonna be one of the top 3 best albums of the year, and this one's just no exception. It's just pushing the genre even further and somehow getting even crazier with it. The samples that are used here are done to perfection. There's some funny ones, like, you know, the Fortnite ping. Pretty cool Fortnite ping. But besides that, it's just chaotic. But it's never like messy chaotic. It's like that chaotic that has a rhythm to it. It has a vibe to it. You can just slip into it. It's just so hard. Yeah, it's up in your face, and it's up in your ears too if you really want to go down that route. And honestly, you just can't get away from how good it is. Play this at the club, you'll be going crazy. And last but not least, we got Skrillex, and I have not listened to Skrillex in years, much less in dubstep. For some reason, though, this album just caught my interest. I listened to one of the songs randomly on my like Discover Weekly, whatever that shit is, and I was like, all right, I gotta check this out, and it's so good. They got DJ Smokey as a narrator for this album, and it was just hilarious having him do call-outs saying Skrillex is dead and shit like that, and you have to keep listening to find out where his body is. It's so good. And there's like, how many songs? 34 songs, and it's only 46 minutes long. It's very concise and compact. It never deviates too much and feels like it's wasting your time. It at all times is hard, and you could just go through the whole runtime and feel good about it. Highly recommend. Now, this next game, I originally had it in progress, but since this video took eons to make, I ended up finishing this game. And Expedition 33, man, oh man, did I have a lot to say about this. And I won't even get into a single spoiler, not even gonna mention a single character name, because you want to have as much of a blind experience as possible, and saying a character's name could just spoil who's gonna be in your team, so we're just gonna stay away from that. Yeah, it's just wow. I genuinely think this might be a top 5 to top 3 game ever. I've never seen a game that is this polished, this well developed. Every aspect of it is absolutely perfect. There's not a single flaw that I could see with this, and everything that it brings to the table feels like an elevation to what already is in gaming. When it comes to most games I've played, the strongest elements of each game sort of hinder some other aspect of a game. Like when I think of strong storytelling, that feels like immersive and cinematic, I think of God of War. You know, the new God of War games like Ragnarok, those games have absolutely beautiful moments, that whole one-shot style, but I think the gameplay is just alright. I never could jive that much with the gameplay. When I think about gameplay that's amazing, I think about probably my favorite game ever. I think of Sekiro. And while Sekiro does a great job with a beautiful world and fucking phenomenal gameplay, I think that the story is good, but it's not the best. It's not on the same level as God of War. When I think about an extremely great open world, I think of Breath of the Wild. But while Breath of the Wild has one of the most immersive worlds in my opinion. I think that the story is also just alright, and some of the gameplay core is not that great. I really don't like breaking my weapons. That sucks. But Expedition 33, when I think about every element of this game, I think that it's done to perfection. There is not a single element that I feel is hindered in this. Yes, the open worlds are sort of linear, but it's not bad. It's by design, and by great design as well. The story is extremely well done. It's so good in the turns that it takes, and the cinematics are so well done. You could get into this game very easily. And then the gameplay, oh my god. Having turn-based gameplay feel this good is a crime. It honestly is. I have never liked turn-based games, let alone turn-based JRPGs. Holy shit, they bore the fuck out of me. But this game did it so well with the addition of 2 mechanics. You get a dodge and you get a parry. And that right there made the gameplay feel entirely engaging, because no matter what enemy you're fighting, it could be an enemy that you fought 10,000 times, you will have to pay attention, because you need to hit that dodge or you need to hit that parry, and that parry will always feel satisfying. That parry will always feel like you are doing something crazy. It feels so nice. I also think the way that they introduce more gameplay elements in the same way that they introduce more story elements is done so well, because at the beginning you have a rudimentary understanding of the gameplay. It still feels good and the story is still good with the intro that you have, but as you keep progressing and you keep finding out more about the world and what is happening here with this whole paintress and all that, you get introduced to more gameplay elements, and you keep getting to the point where you're like, okay, there can't be any more, right? And they introduce another gameplay element and a big story twist, and you're like, holy shit, it can't get crazier than this. And then they do it again, they introduce another gameplay element and they introduce another story twist. It's so good. Getting into the story, oh my god, having a paintress that takes away all these people. She basically paints a number and all these people get decimated, boom, disappear. So the people that are that age and older will all basically die. So at this point we're at age 33, so everybody 33 and older will die, and each year the number keeps going down one by one until everyone's eradicated. So Expedition 33 is the 33-year-olds that are going out and trying to kill the paintress and stop this from happening. And it leaves so many elements, because you have the elements of grief, which I think are done so well in this game. This game's whole cycle is done around the cycle of grief. Everybody's going through some sort of grief and doing something about it or because of it. Every character has some sort of grief in them and they are enacting in it in some way. Beautiful, heartbreaking, tearjerker, phenomenal, cinematic, beautiful. I will tell you right now, I've worked on film, I've watched a lot of movies, I've watched a lot of TV, I've played a lot of games. I never knew where this story was going. I usually feel like I'm good at guessing where a story could go, where a beat would take you, and like the story structures in a lot of places, you'll be like, all right, I can see where this is going. You won't see anything from this game. You will not know what is coming next. You will not know what twist it is, because I thought I knew at a certain point, and then Act 2 hit. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, all right, I think I got an idea now. And then Act 3 hits and you're like, bro, what is happening anymore? It is absolutely insane how good this story is. And then when you realize it's done by 33 people, no, somewhere around there, it was done by like 30 something people. It's just insane. It feels like a game that was done by hundreds with multi-million-dollar studios and done by just 30 something people and a dog that was in the studio. Just wow. Also, the music in this game, oh my god, there's just so much about the music. This is by far one of the best gaming soundtracks, period. Each song for each area gives the area its vibe. I will 100% say that no matter what song you listen to, you can tell what is in that area, what type of character you're fighting or talking to, where you are. It doesn't matter what is happening. You could just be playing this game and never listen to a single piece of audio, and that music could give you so many details about who a character is, how silly this character is, or how serious they are, how serious the moment that you're in. There is one boss fight in this game that has this crazy ass score, and when you listen to that score, you know, oh, I'm reaching the climax of the game, aren't I? Like, it is insane the type of music production that they have on this game. I genuinely think if you love video games, if you love film, if you love any type of media, you should play this game. It is just a phenomenal experience. GTA 6 got scared of this game. GTA 6 went to next year because this game came out this year and they had to avoid it for the game of the year. Just wow, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Now, the last two things that I'm going to touch on are just two things that I have in progress. Both of them haven't been released yet. Well, I guess fully released yet. So I want to start off in the anime side with
I'm the hero made perfect by and for the people. Am I though? Can I really be him?
To Be Hero X. Chinese donghwas have been evolving, and each time a new one comes out, it's just gonna shatter everything. China has been upping their animation game. To Be Hero X honestly had a lot of hype going into it. The trailers just looked insane with the animation styles, and it has not disappointed so far. I am 6 episodes in, so that's how many episodes are out right now. Just putting that out there. If this comes out, who knows when, maybe there will be 7 or 8 episodes out. The story centered around different types of heroes. Originally it was centered around one hero named Ling Ling, but now there's 2 different heroes, and what I believe throughout the series will be several different hero stories. Get sort of a collection of their stories before they all, what I'm assuming, end up combining, and it's just insane. I've been loving the hero system as well. The way that the heroes go off of trust value, where basically however citizens or fans view these heroes, the heroes developed abilities based on how they are viewed. And not only do they develop abilities, but they also have their personal lives changed because of how these things look. So in one episode there was one hero that is viewed as being indestructible. He is always standing tall and standing for what he stands. Oh my god. He's always standing tall. He's supposed to be unbreakable, and he basically ends up having his whole life change because of it, that he can never bend over again. He can't even sit down to use a toilet. He can't lay down in bed anymore. His whole life has been shifted because of how he's viewed by the fans. I think that sets up very interesting predicaments for heroes, as well as very interesting ways that they could present themselves. There's just so many ways that this show is going to be able to manipulate the way that heroes could be viewed by fans, and how that'll in some give them their powers as well. It's so well done. It feels so unique from any piece of hero media that's come out so far. They've managed to find a way to actually make unique looking and unique abilities for these heroes in a world where hero media is already so saturated. It's actually mind-boggling. Also, I think it's obvious the animation just goes crazy with this. The switches between 3D to 2D animation are so well done. Having the flashy 2D animation be sort of reserved for fights or for backstories, while the 3D is used for more day-by-day things. You know, the 3D is basically used for the normal things, while the 2D is used for the more flashy ways. And what I've noticed now is that each hero has their own way of having their own 2D animation, which I think is so sick, because you basically get so many different animation styles throughout just one anime. It's absolutely insane. I cannot wait to see more of this. This has to keep. There's just no way they fold. There's no way. The final thing we're gonna talk about is a rematch. So once Rematch got announced, I was sold on this concept. It's the people who made Sifu making a soccer game. which already, boom, yo, put me in, coach. I'm already an addict of Blue Lock, and having a game where you have soccer centered around you and you have a lot of freedom around your limbs and how you use your limbs to basically actually be a soccer player is super fucking cool. The way that they've built this game gives you so much freedom as well. The core of this game is just fantastic. You have a lot of creativity to go with your character. You could play whatever style that you'd want to play with them. If you're a more defensive player like Aiku, you could go to the defensive and be able to have a good time there. If you're more of a dribbler like Bachira, you could be able to fake out your opponents as much as you want. If you are more of a setup type and you like doing a lot of passing plays, with the way that the walls work in this game as well, that the ball bounces off of the walls to help you set up some really creative plays, you could bring out your inner Isagi Yoichi and go crazy with that and hit a super crazy direct shot. Or, you know, you could be like Rin and be a psychopath and do everything on your own. You could do some crazy chops as well like Baru and set up a crazy goal at the end with all these chops. It is insane how much creativity you could have with this game. I think that as it develops and hopefully they could introduce more mechanics, because just one mechanic will change the complete depth of this game. It definitely has a long life ahead of it, and I know these creators are very capable of making a product that comes out very good. So yeah, that's everything that I had to talk about for this month. That was my whole monthly love list. Obviously this is coming out a lot on the latter half of the following month. So this will be done in tandem with my May love list, which will come out at the beginning of June, first week of June. Mark my words on that. So yeah, since we've had a lot of talk about self-discovery, a lot of different shows about that, I will make my monthly recommendation to an album that I think you guys will really love, which is Entrañas by Arca. A very experimental, deep, just wow album. They do a lot of mechanically new things in this album. I believe it came out sometime in 2015, and it is still very new to this day. It'll be very weird, it'll be very grungy, but you will like it if you like cool stuff like that. So yeah, catch you guys later. Bye bye.